Santa, bring my beansy back to me. No, he hates it when, okay. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Natalie Megan and this is Weirdo Book Club. Today I'm bringing the holiday joy, as you can see. Please notice my book of trees. What? My tree of books. Got the lights up, and I also am wearing my little light earrings that I got from the Porter Flea Market last year. If I remember who the maker was, I'll tag them below. I'm just really getting into the holiday spirit, and who wouldn't with the subject of today's book review? We've had a lot of laughs this year, haven't we? Some would argue we've had more sorrow, misery, and woe, but you know, none of that matters when we have each other, right? My gift to you today during this festive season is a review of Mean One by A.B. Cynthe, or Absinthe. Clever? Disclaimers. This review will contain spoilers, opinions, and general shit-talking as it always does. If that doesn't sound appealing to you or you don't think you can hang, that's fine. You don't have to watch. This is a parody erotic horror retelling of the story of the Grinch. And so if you don't want to have your childhood potentially ruined, because if you, like me, love the Grinch, I also don't recommend watching this. Let's get into the details, is what I would say if there were any. Mean Ones by Absinthe, published today. So I'm doing this review day of Happy Pub Day. Yay, Absinthe for everybody. Literally, But as of starting this script just a couple days ago, there was no information. No page count, no synopsis on Amazon or any of the book websites that I checked, nothing. The only thing that came up, even in the Kindle app when I pulled it up, was one line. 'Tis the season for revenge. Yikes. I even checked the author's website. Nothing. Nada. Who's excited though? So now that I'm broadcasting from the future, I have downloaded it. It is in my Kindle. And it still doesn't tell me anything when I click details or about this book. So I don't know the page count. I will tell you that getting through the prologue and chapter 1 got me around 18% in. The only thing that any of the book websites did tell me was that this was an erotic horror novel, Grinch Retelling. Yes, a spicy horror novel that stars the Grinch. Yowzers. And on the author's Instagram, before I blocked her preemptively just in case this doesn't go well, I found this graphic that says age gap romance. This is the most information that I got about this book was from her Instagram. So, thanks. Age gap leads me to believe that the Grinch is going to be hearing a who moan his name. You know what I mean. You get it. Now, again, erotic horror. It is worth noting that not even that long ago, a couple weeks ago, I was complaining on TikTok and subsequently YouTube, asking why more dark romance authors aren't labeling their dark romance erotic horror. I will be looking at this book, consuming Mean One by Absinthe, in a different kind of way, through a different lens, with different expectations, because it was labeled an erotic horror. So if we start and the Grinch is grumpy and mean and murderous and all the stuff that I assume the Grinch is going to be, it's not going to really bother me because you're not trying to paint this as my love interest. It's a horror novel. It's a spicy one, but it's horror. Do you see what I mean? Do you see where I'm coming from on this? My Christmas wish is that this goes better than all the other books I read on this channel. Anyway, I don't know. I'm excited to discuss it along the way and see how my opinion or my thoughts change as we near the end of the book. So I know what you must be thinking. Many things, I'm sure. But one of those things has to be like, how do you find these things? How did you find this book? Especially since there's no information about it. Well, I'll tell you. Y'all, I didn't find it. It found me by way of you. Two of you specifically, and you know who you are, sent me this book. And now I and my entire book club are reading it. Bully for us. So let's get started, right? It's time. The dedication reads, for those of you who begged for a smutty Grinch retelling, Mommy listened. Hold on, I'm gonna stop you right there. Okay, I hate to do it to you. Page 1. Who asked? I need names. 2. Don't love the mommy, I don't like that. Some of you in my comments will occasionally call me mother, and I love it because that's what I call Ethel Cain. But mommy, no, not mummy. Let's keep going. Get ready to ruin your childhood because after this novella, it's a novella. Okay, so under 200 pages. Good to know. After this novella, you'll never be able to look at that green monster the same, and yes, it grows. You're welcome. Well, that was a close call, because when I was telling my husband about this, he said he would be sorely disappointed and consider this entire book a wash if the Grinch's sausage didn't grow 3 times its size. Off to a start. The warning page reads, "You may think you know the story of the Grinch, but I promise this one is much darker. Note, Mean One is an adult parody of the Grinch." Got it. Thank you for telling me again. The trigger warnings as listed in the book are abuse, emotional, physical, mental, anxiety, mention of arson, biting, blood play, breath play, bullying, childhood trauma, physical and mental, consumption of blood, death of a loved one, detailed estual scenes, dismemberment, DV, drinking, dubious consent, desecration of a decapitation, erotic asphyxiation. Wow, I almost choked on that. Gagging, gore, human slaughter, light BDSM, manipulation, masochism, masturbation, mild voyeurism, misogyny, monsters, murder, mutilation of a corpse, obsession, pegging, public teasing, public physical abuse, possessiveness, profanity, PTSD, sadism, slut shaming, sexual objectification, sexual manipulations on or near a dead body. My God, 2 in 1 week. Work, sodomy, stalking, torture, trauma, unhealthy emotional attachment, unprotected violence, and voyeurism. So I love that it's all in alphabetical order. I love when they do that. I don't know why. It really appeals to me. Seems like we covered a lot of bases here. So the Grinch. Prologue, the Grouch. Yeah. Makes sense, yeah. So we open to find a young Grouch getting berated and beaten up by what I assume is a childhood bully named Gus. "You're a mistake, a green freak no one wants." The words hit me as hard as his fists. Warm blood quickly fills my mouth as my head sank into the cold snow. "Gus, no! Leave him alone!" Her cries made my heart leap as I tried to protect my face from his blows, my ears ringing from the impact. She rushed to us, hitting Gus on the back, trying to force him off me. "No, he needs to learn his place." So the girl that runs up, that I just so lovingly did the impression of's name is May Martha. I get it. What if she named it Natalie May? Anyway, Gus pushes Martha May. I keep switching them around. He pushes her down, and this enrages our Grouch. So he goes to sock him in the kisser, saying, quote, "Swinging my fist into the fat face." Damn. Are we going to be fat phobic in the book? I didn't see it in the trigger warnings. And then May Martha winds up and delivers the harshest of blows. "Gus, please, just let him go. He means nothing to me. Nothing." May Martha's statement stung more than Gus's blows as I stared at her, my heart shrinking. Way harsh, Martha May. May Martha. I don't know. Not his heart shrinking already. Oh my God. So this really gets Gus going. Say that 5 times fast. And he just starts wailing on him again, calling him names, telling him he's an abomination. No one wants you here kind of stuff. You're nothing, 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 nothing. When suddenly the Grouch awakens, his fur covered in a thin layer of sweat. Oh, good fur. What a dream. Speaking of dreams, that's all it was. It was all a dream, a memory more specifically of childhood's long past, a memory that he has tried his hardest to forget, to no avail. Sad. Childhood trauma really be latching on, huh? I get it. So his tossing and turning has woken up his bedmate, a pretty young thing named Max, who has apparently been the only child at the time who stupidly followed him all the way out here. So after all of this happened, I guess in his childhood, he just wandered to the cusp of civilization and started battening down the hatches inside of an old mining cave. And Max, for some reason, even though he's an abomination that no one wants here, followed him out there. And even though he's tried to scare her off, she didn't go anywhere. So here they are, 2 lovebirds in a cave.
Hello from the void. I am sitting here editing. What? And as I am going through this, I just put 2 and 2 together that Max was also the name of the dog in the original Grinch. And I don't know if that would have colored my whole experience of this book a little differently had I known it when I was reading through it the first time. But I had to share it with you now. Now that I know better, I want to share that information with you. If you didn't put those pieces together either, you're welcome, or I'm sorry.
She's hot, but annoying. And even though he enjoys her company, he still feels empty once all of their banging is done. Anyway, she's awake. She's like, what's wrong? And he's like, nothing. Go to sleep. Leave me alone. She says, you're such a meanie.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
I had to. Yeah. And then she starts sultrily, I don't know if that's a word, offering to take his mind off those nightmares. Was it another nightmare? Her hand dipped below the sheet, slowly palming my hardening. Is that furry too? I nodded, slightly thrusting my hips into her hand. You know, I can help take your mind off of it. Let me replace that hovering darkness with better things. Waxing poetic with potentially a fuzzy in your hand is certainly a choice for a prologue, ain't it? He's enjoying himself. He's not having a terrible time, but he is struggling because he can't stop thinking about May Martha's red lips and how good they would look wrapped around his... I'm sorry. Have we seen May Martha in a while? Or are we only picturing her as a child? Because if so, are we just basing it off of the memory of being in the schoolyard fight with your bully and those... Spurred on by the memory of his childhood crush, I guess, he arrives and Max is like, forget her. You don't need her. You have me. And he gets big mad and is like, you don't even get to say her name. Okay. She apologizes and then just stands bare before him and he takes her all in. You know, her ample baubles with dark, and her juicy lips. Which ones though? I'm sorry. And she's like, you can't stay mad at me. You're so mean. I can fix that. He grabs her by the throat and makes her pay $1. That didn't work. And requests that she put her mouth to good use and then just like shoves her on there. How sweet. Actually, you know what? Let me back up. It doesn't have to be sweet. You know why? Because it's an erotic horror. And that means that I'm not meant to like this man or see him as redeeming. So let's just keep that in mind. I've just gotten so used to having to read dark romance on this channel that I keep forgetting that that's not what we're dealing with here. So he arrives, brava, 2 for 2, and just as they're about to start round 3, giggling hits his eardrum from outside the cave. Who could it be all the way out here? He pulls away from Max and starts heading down the mountain to see who's trespassing. On the way down. He steps on a fallen sign that reads, beware, here lives the abomination, a green monster who no one wanted, the Grouch. Exactly what Gus had called him and said to him all those years ago. It doesn't seem like this is a sign he made for himself to keep people out. Because he's pretty mad upon finding it. So I guess Gus might be still dicking around. Anyway, it's a drunk couple wandering around the snow and saying things like, whatever, there's no Grouch up here. It's just another one of Gus's dumb stories. And Grouch is like, oh, this'll be fun. Follows after them for a little bit before he just tackles the guy and starts ripping him to shreds. Literally ribbons of red in the snow. He is not messing around. Amidst all of this, he down on his wounds and starts drinking his blood. I don't know that the Grouch is a vampire, but I don't know that he isn't. So time will tell, I suppose. The woman is shook and trying to get away, and he's like, oh no, you don't. So he goes after her next. But he doesn't have to do anything to her because Max appears in the nick of time and hits her over the head with a shovel. Good. Max is like, oh, how great of a surprise is this? And then just bashes the woman's skull in with the shovel, prompting Grouch to go, easy, Freckles. Freckles. So she chills and stabs this shovel into the earth. And she's like, what are these two even doing out here? Don't they know it's your land? It seems I've become something of an attraction thanks to Gus. Everyone knows where I live, the home of the Grouch, a monster, an abomination to gawk at from afar. I examine my bloody claws. I think it's time I show them just how much of a monster I really am. I looked over at Max with a smile. What do you say we pay little old little old Whoreville a visit, Max. It's time they learn what happens when a monster finally snaps at the hand that beats him. Max then lifts the shovel and just says, I'll follow you anywhere. You just say the word. Plus, I really like killing people. That's fun. Cool. Great. Glad you have each other, I guess. Then she licks the bloody shovel, which is just a... Good. No more hiding. I slammed my mouth to hers, nearly lifting her off her feet as we embraced, excited by the taste of blood. I'm coming for you, Gus. And you too, May Martha. Chapter 1. Oh my God. I forgot. This was just the epilogue?
Hello from the void. I know it's prologue. I'm an idiot. I said the wrong word. Let's move on.
Chapter 1, May Martha. We first meet May Martha as she is underneath a grunting, moaning, sweaty Gus and faking her own arrival, as he does not fake an arrival. I was glad he was finally done. Normally I could slip something in his drink or get him to knock out sooner, but today he's a bit more determined than usual. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Anyway, he's gotten his, and he's under the impression that she got hers as well, so he gets up and starts getting dressed and drops some money on the nightstand that's lower than their usual rate. I beg your pardon. And she's like, that's it. And he's like, dazzle me next time, and I'll pay you more. Sir? So anyway, he smashes his lips onto hers and is like, you know that it's actually more than business between us, right? And just then there's screaming coming from outside. So he's like, stay in here. And then he rushes outside and she does not listen to him. I hear ya. She throws on a robe and dashes out of the brothel. So we've got, the sex work. I gotcha. Okay. Gus pushed his way through the crowd, his police chief hat now back on his head as he resumed his public image. Not a cop being a piece of shit. Not that. That is so weird. He's like, everybody out of the way, and makes his way to the front and then loses all color from his face and says, hell's bells. I don't know why I don't know who he is. My curiosity got the better of me as I forced my way through the crowd, everyone pushing and shoving me as I nearly bumped into him. Gus pushed me back as I finally saw what horrified him so. My own scream bleeding into the crowd as my eyes widened in fear. It was a man and what seemed to be a woman, her face destroyed, unrecognizable. They'd been slaughtered and left in the street, their blood soaking into the snow around them like a blanket of velvet red. The man's chest was shredded by what must have been an animal or beast of some kind, his throat torn apart. Let me tell you something. I made Teeny's mac and cheese the other day and I was grating the cheese and I shredded my little thumb. Yeah, what a way to go. Nobody should die like that. What creature could have done such a thing? And that's when they notice a piece of paper sticking out of the man's pocket. He pulls it out and says, May, and hands it to her. Did you think I was gone? Say hello to Gus for me, May Martha. I'm coming for you. How are we meaning come there? Like arriving or arriving, you know? I don't know. And they're freaked out. They're like, oh my God, he's back and he's coming for all of us. Just then, she hears an eerie laughter that's familiar, like someone she knew in childhood but has long forgotten and hasn't seen since. She turns around and sees a set of glowing yellow eyes in the bushes. I got lipstick on my hands. It was him, the Grouch. She blinks and the eyes are gone, but the eerie laughter still lingers. So she tears away from the crowd and back to her room in the brothel and locks the door behind her and starts frantically searching for something.
Motherfucker, what is it?
A box. She's looking for a box and she finds it finally under the bed.
What's in the box?
She takes a good look at herself for the first time in a long time and she does not like what she sees looking back at her.
Is that girl
Look at what you've become. I held the box close, closing my eyes as I reminisced about the day it was given to me.
What's in the fucking box?
I carefully opened it, staring at its contents, running my fingers along while a single tear fell down my cheek. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So I think, no, surely not. So we have a mid-chapter POV switch, but not back to the Grouch. No, that would make sense. This is now Max's chapter. Sure. So Max now and Grouchy Pants McGee are headed back to their cave, I guess, and she's just giddy. She loves seeing that big old meanie happy. And isn't that really what we all want from the big meanies in our lives? We've terrorized people before, but killing them? Oh, that was a whole new level of intimacy. It almost felt as good as with him. Almost. So she starts to ask him, like, did you see the look on their faces? And he just attacks her face with his, just yum, 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 yum. He tells her that she was perfectly wicked. Perfectly wicked. What a beautiful thing to be called. I feel like Elphaba would disagree, but speaking of wicked, I really want to see it. So they're like aggressively making out, and he's like, I need to, you Freckles, right here, right now. Please, I beg you not. So that's what happens. They just bang it out in the snow right there, right now, right then, here, and yeah. A low animalistic rumble vibrated through his chest as he pounded into my aching, unleashing all his desires and feeding his carnal hunger. I didn't stand a chance, overly excited that someone might see us. I struggled to control myself, fully dissolving into him as I cried out, coming around his furry. I knew it! I wish I didn't, but I did. I wish that I didn't, but I did. I knew it. They finish. And he's like, we should go. They're probably looking for me. And she corrects him. For us. You didn't just alone. Just wait until May Martha hears about what we did. I'm sure she already knows. I left her a note. You did what? Don't sound so sour. I only warned her I was coming for her, just like everyone else. Try not to let your jealousy show, Max. She's possessive, and she's like, why after all these years do you still think about her? You have me, you don't need her, you know, kind of thing, which I guess I get. And he's like, come on, Freckles, I need you to help cover our tracks. So that's what they do. That's right. You need May. May. Not Martha May. Wait, May Martha. I can't do it. And I'm going to spend every moment reminding you of that. Rock on, Max. Chapter 2 is the Grouch again. I wonder if they'll switch to, I don't know, the mayor POV in the middle of the chapter, or Gus, or his dog that he's supposed to have. Where's the dog? When does the dog show up?
Hello again from the void. Yes, I am realizing in real time how dumb I was when I was reading this. I just did not even put it together that said missing dog was named Max, and Max has been here the whole time, just in hot girl with freckles form. God, the way I'm cackling! I'm so sorry. I don't even know.
He wakes up back in his cave, and Max isn't there. Oh no. She does eventually come back in, and she has a surprise for him. She plops her fat ass down in his lap and shows him the newspaper. You've made the front page. The Grouch is back. Whoreville is in a panic. It's called Whoreville for real. I thought he was being punny. Whoreville is in a panic. Its townsfolk watching over their shoulder as the shadow of such a monster haunts us all. Despite years of peace, the once forgotten Grouch has returned and seems to have one thing on his mind: revenge. Even his mother has sat down to share her thoughts on. This gives him a pause. This causes him to stop. His mother? What do you mean, my mother? What is my mother? Even his mother has sat down to share her thoughts on both his horrendous past and current crime. She claims he's no son of hers or her late wife's, and vows to seek justice for the slain couple found in the street late last night, stating he got away with it once, but I won't let him get away with it again. Whoreville's police chief, Gustafer, shut the fuck up, has refused to release a statement at this time. Don't you listen to this, Max tells him. Whoreville has no idea what really happened, and he gets up and she falls onto the floor. Love it when people do that. Hello? Love that we've got a queer lesbian couple represented here. How nice. We should kill all of them. She doesn't deserve you. No one does. And he's like, I'm not gonna kill an old lady. My old lady, nonetheless. Death's already coming for her soon. But you know who we could take out? I think we should add some color to this newspaper. What's black and white and red all over? So, time skip. They approach the back door of the newspaper or whatever. It must be night because everyone else has gone home. But there is one person still there. And when he comes into the room, he startles the man so much he nearly falls over. And he says, "You're the." And he's like, go ahead and finish it. The. And then the guy goes, the Grouch. And then he just wails on him. And he's like, did you write this? Answer me. And he's like, no, I only printed it. I don't know. Please. As he's still sticking it to this old guy, Max appears. She's like, I think you're going to want to see this. And she shows him this vintage printing press. And she's like, I think we could put this to good use, don't you? I thought they were going to bang on top of it. But they had different plans. And they use it as a way of forcing information out of this old man and like feeding his arm into it. I don't know. I've never operated a printing press. They threaten to take his arm off unless he tells them who wrote that article. You know, usually in newspapers, it'll say right underneath the title and the byline of the article who wrote it. But I guess not in Whoreville. Oh my God, she's a swerker and she lives in Whoreville. It's not funny. Anyway, at the threat to lose one of his arms, he's like, wait, I'll tell you. It's the woman reporter with the silly name. What name? Tell me their name or I'll peel your flesh from your skull. Cynthe. Her name is Cynthe. Cynthe what? Cynthe or something. Max and I look at each other. Interesting. Please, please let me go. Yeah, they don't let him go. They crush his arm in the printing press anyway. And then he's like, who said you were leaving here at all alive, right? And then he disembowels him and says that he needed ink for his message anyway. You're at the newspaper. You can, there's ink there. You didn't need to do all this. But hey, we're having fun. It's a party. It's a holiday party. So he's like elbow deep in the man's guts and he like writes on the wall, "You're next, Cynthe. I'm coming for you." Yikes. Max snaps Guy's neck and they stare at each other and he calls her so wicked again. What a delightful thing to be called. Chapter 3 is Martha May. God damn it, it's May Martha. I keep messing it up. But who knows if it'll stay that way. It might switch over to Max. It might switch over to Cynthe. I don't know why we don't give them their own chapters, but it's none of my business. I didn't write it. So Gus comes banging on her door. Open up, let me in. She unlocks the many freaking locks that she has on her door. And it's clear that something's gone wrong again, because Gus is like sweating and he hasn't been with her, so that can't be the reason. Gus, what happened? What is it? What's wrong? The Grouch. He's killed again. He brutally murdered the old man who works at the printing press. He used the old man's blood to leave us a message on the wall next to his corpse. She's like, what message? And he's like, Cynthe. He's coming for Cynthe. I'm guessing Lou, but who knows? And so May's like, oh man, I gotta warn Cynthe. And so she tells Gus to like, take a load off, kick off his shoes and get comfortable. She'll get him some food and she'll be right back. And he asks for some water first before she goes. So she pours him some water along with some other concoctions. You know, she likes to drug him. Yes, drink it all, you pig. She waits until he drinks it all before she gets on her coat and heads to warn Cynthe. Time skip, she heads around the corner to the bar that Cynthe works at. I guess the economy in Whoreville is just as bad as the economy here. Because why would a reporter for the newspaper need a second job? We really need to work on these things. But this isn't the place for this discussion. I don't know. I'm riled up. They have a little chat and she's like, oh, finally done at the brothel. I don't know why I gave her that voice. Oh, if it isn't May Martha, finally done with the brothel and coming down here to work with me and us ladies. And she's like, no, but why are you working here? Shouldn't you be at the newspaper? That's literally what I was saying. And then she also tells us that she would have preferred to be the bartender, but she got stuck with the job she has now because after what happened, no one really trusted her. Can't wait to find out what happened. So then, you know, the conversation turns to recent things and she's like, so, did you ever like interact with the Grouch? And Cindy's like, no, I didn't. The only other person I really interacted with was nobody. I mean, it was a long time ago when we were kids, right? And she's like, Cynthe, I'm here to warn you. The Grouch is killed again and he's claimed that he's coming for you next. Thanks for spilling. Cindy's like, over that article? That's an overreaction. What a wank. But my dad told me that I just should have been a post office worker and I should have listened to him. What am I gonna do, May? And May's like, I'll let you know when I figure it out. And she's like, oh my God, were you threatened too? And she's like, yeah, the other day when they found those two people in the street, he left me a note that said he was coming for me. And then I could have sworn I saw him staring at me through the bushes and this eerie cackling laughter. And that's when Cynthe goes, Max. Who's Max? She was the kid we went to school with, but she was younger than us. She had copper-colored hair and green eyes, dark freckled skin, striking features. She was always following people around, searching for a friend. But she was weird as... She would always pick fights with the bigger kids, begging them to hit her and stuff. And when they did, she'd laugh through it all with a creepy-ass cackle. I'll never forget that sound. So the giggle, the cackle that she heard, I guess was Max. But I guess Max is the person that she was talking about interacting with long ago when they were kids, because apparently Cynthe and some of her friends were pushing her around one day and then the Grouch showed up and that's when Max, there's so many people. Max started following him around like a lost puppy. So there's that. Cynthe's like, I guess she's the only person he doesn't hate. Well, except for you. And then May is like, I'm sure after what happened last time we saw each other, he hates me more than everybody. What happened? Then Cynthe tells us a little bit more. She's like, yeah, well, there's never been two people who hate each other more than Gus and the Grouch. And that day after everything happened, I saw the Grouch leave and Max following along. So I guess they've been living together forever now. But then Cynthe gets serious, okay? And she's like, listen, May, I would be really careful if I were you. Max is certifiable and you're the one who broke him. And you're the only one standing in between her having him all to herself. And then May is like, I think I need a bigger drink. I think I need a bigger mouth. Chapter 4, we're back with the Grouch. He has begrudgingly chopped down a Christmas tree for Max. It's her favorite holiday, even though he has trauma. He can do this for her, especially because she loves to decorate. She has all these little knickknacks that she's collected over the years. So he's like getting the tree all set up, and in walks Max, and she's just so dang hot. His fuzzy member twitches in his pants. Blech. And he's like, calm down. I can't just bang her all day. Why can't you? Neither of you seem employed, and you both seem really riled up all the time, so why not? Anyway, Max is like, I have news. Turns out, Cynthe doesn't just write for the paper. She also works down at the bar a couple shifts a week, slinging drinks to boozers, and you'll never guess who she was spotted chatting with. May Martha. Yeah. POV switch to Max in the Grouch chapter. Did you say May Martha? And she's like, yeah, it shouldn't surprise you that my childhood bully would be talking to your childhood bully. That's what is, does that really surprise you? Cynthe tortured me as a child. She was always a ruthless bitch who took too much pleasure in hurting others. It only makes sense that your little Miss May Martha would befriend her after what she did to you. Then he grabs her by the throat mid-sentence, just cutting her airway right off. I've told you, you don't get to speak her name. She literally did a couple of paragraphs ago. So can she say it or not? You're sending mixed signals. Why are you always so mean to May when I say her name? She's no one. She doesn't deserve your thoughts, not after what she did. He growled, baring his canines at me. Go on. Show me that temper of yours. It doesn't scare me. You're just a big old teddy bear. Keeps egging him on, saying her name. Is like, if I want to say it, I will say it. You know why? Because you're not going to hurt me. Because you like me. Even though you don't want to, you totally like me. Grabs her throat, lifts her off the ground. You can't hurt me. You love me. You know you do. That's where you're wrong, Freckles. The only heart I have is tattooed across my chest. He lifts his fur to show her the tattoo. This belongs to one person and that's not you. She keeps egging him on and he grows more enraged and she's like, go ahead and do it. Snap my neck. If you don't love me, it shouldn't be a problem, right? And then he balks and she's like, told you, you can't do it. You may not say it, but I know deep down in your rotten core, your mean heart beats for me. Same as her. And then they keep arguing and bickering back and forth. It's kind of boring. And he's like, you're wrong. And she's like, okay. And she grabs a string of lights. Oh my God. And storms off. He's like, don't you walk away from me. This is so, what are we doing? She then takes the lights and kind of wraps him up in them. And he's like, what are you doing? So silly, goofy. And she's like, showing you how much you actually do like me. I know everything about you. I know all your darkest desires. And then he's like laying down, I guess, so she steps on him with her heel. And she just plops her munch right down on his face while he's, restrained and can't do anything about it. So that seems fun, right? And I guess it does the trick. So she gets up, walks off, and he's like, you bring that wicked, greedy little of yours back over here right now. And she's like, no. So she's like, I'm just going to use my wicked, greedy, whatchamacallit, and use you. Time for you to suffer for being such a bad boy. And he's like, I'm not a boy. I'm a goddamn monster. He's saying this in between nomming on her munch. Yeah, like, I'm not a boy. I'm a goddamn monster. So she continues to grind her bits up on his furry face. And just real quick, let's pause, because I'm not sure how a fuzzy furry member would work, logistically. Like, obviously for pre-ambling, before playing, we're doing the foreplaying. Got it? Yeah. The fur would sensually be nice to feel elsewhere. But once we get to penetration, I feel like friction is going to play a bit of a role here. And fur, I'm just having a hard time with it. So is she, he, all of them. It is mentioned that his tongue stretched deeper. I guess it grows too. And he is devouring every bit of my weeping excitement. I do have weeping excitement, but different, I think. So he got free of the Christmas lights, I guess. And he's like, I can feel you're close. Go on and soak my face, Freckles. Suffocate me with your tasty... And she's like, no, not yet. And he's like, I wasn't asking. So he gets up and quickly unleashes his vibrant green hairy beast that has grown 3 sizes larger. Let me go ahead and stop you right there. Let's say the average. We know what the average is, but I feel like he would have a bigger one anyway. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll say 6. 6 times 3 is still only 18. Only 18? Who the hell do I think I am? That's a big cock. And it's furry. So now you have like girth and length and friction working. I just don't see how this would work. But I don't think I'm supposed to. I think I'm doing that thing where I think too much and I need to just leave it alone. So I'm gonna leave it alone. So they bang it out and she's getting close, but she realizes that her throat's really dry, so she can't scream. And that's so sad because he loves to hear her make her sound. So he's like, let me help you out. And he just spits into her mouth, which I got nothing. And then after she arrives at her destination, she grabs him by the throat and tells him that he better fill her up, or else she'll do him from behind with all of his favorite little toys. And he says, yes, ma'am. And she says, that's a good boy. I thought he wasn't a boy. He arrives, he screams her name. She's like, say my name. And he says it again because he does what he's told, I guess. And then after they're done, he's like, what say you? What say you grab one of them toys and we keep the fun times rolling? Yeah, let's do it. So she does. And she's like, so are you going to get on all fours and let me rail you from behind? And he's like, yeah, as long as you do it real good, I'll let you do whatever you want. And then we have a POV switch back to the Grouch, which I don't want. Anyway, we're back with Grouch and we are starting off strong. And Max has the lights wrapped around her hand and is like whipping him with them, causing one of the little bulbs to burst. So we've got some glass or some plastic and he's thriving, living for it, honestly. Good for you. I will take a moment here to give flowers, I guess. Well, I don't really want a flower. I will give you one flower because I recently watched my friend Carter's review of a Rena Kent book. I think it was God of Malice or something like God of something. It's an romance where he had a lot of critical things to say about how there was no preparation for backdoor play, you know, and great video, by the way. He's hilarious. I giggled several times. If you haven't watched that one already, I really think you should. But we've got some prep here. Not ideal prep, but we do have prep here. Wild to see. I did not expect it, but here we are. So he's down on all fours. We're going to talk about it. He's down on all fours and she's like coming up behind him all, you know, whatever. And she eats him like a buffet and also spits on him before using her fingers and then graduating to the toy. And, you know, honestly, that's more than we got with Rena Kent. So one flower for you. So Max is strapped up with a candy cane striped attachment. It really is her favorite holiday, isn't it? Oh no. You know what? It's Christmas. You get it? I'm giving it to you. Not like that. Not like she's giving it to him, but I'm giving you something. Now open wide. She sat up, gripping my chin, slowly pushing the toy into my mouth. That's right. Get it nice and wet so mommy can you real good. No, I didn't know I hated this. This is a new one for me. Hate it! But he does. And once it's good and damp, he's like, you better not go easy on me. Okay. I didn't think she was gonna. That wasn't in the cards. So she's she's railing him, and he's living, and she's living, and we're all living. He's not on all fours anymore, though. He's, like this, and so he decorates the ceiling at his arrival. Whoa, we're having fun. And then, oh no! He gets up and puts her on the bed and takes the attachment off and spits onto it before shoving it up her ass. And then his furry, 3 sizes too big member goes in the front door. So she's full. She's full of it. She's full of beans. No, beans! She's not full of beans. Beans is nowhere near this, okay? Beans is in his cat tower living a life that has no knowledge of this. As he's doing this, he tells her that he can't get enough of her. Don't you ever freaking leave me. And she's like, never.
Never say never.
Honestly, if she keeps him busy enough, maybe they won't have to unalive anybody else. They'll just be up in the cave with varying toy attachments that are shaped and themed like the holiday that is her favorite, and they won't come out. They'll come, but they're not coming down. They're not coming out. So chapter 5 is May Martha once again, and she is on her way back to check on Cynthe because she hasn't in a bit, and she's walking through the dark town. It's night, and she was like, it's scary here without knowing that the Grouch is out there slinking around watching me and coming for me next. Then she hears that eerie laughter that she now knows belongs to Max coming down this dark, scary alleyway, and she's like, I should go check that out. No, you shouldn't, but hey, whatever, we're doing it. So she heads into the dark alley like a smart, and she pulls her lighter out, and the laughter seems to be coming from all directions. She feels something soft plop at her foot, so she looks down with the lighter, and it's a dismembered hand. And Max is there, and she's like, well, if it isn't Miss May Martha. And then she sees Max covered in someone's blood, and Max goes, boo, and her lighter goes out. She falls down near the dismembered hand. She's freaking out. Max is holding an axe. Max axe. Oh, that's fun. Now tell me, what is little Miss May Martha doing all the way out here on the side of Whoreville? You're not going back to say hello to your good old friend Cynthe down at the bar now, are you? This lets May... God, there's so many. Ugh. This lets May know that she hasn't been imagining it. She has been being watched. They are watching her. Maybe it's only Max's watch. Somebody's watching her. And May's trying to be chill, but she's very scared in this moment, and I think I would be too. She's like, Max, what are you doing here? And whose hand is that? And Max is like, that's none of your business. I do what I need to do to keep him happy. And she's like, the Grouch? She's like, don't call him that. What is his name? Like Brian? What do you want me to call him? That is what everyone calls him. Is that what she calls him? She calls him a big mean meanie. I mean, she wouldn't like it if May called him that. Max brings a knife to her neck, and she's like, you can't even imagine the connection he and I have. There are words for it. We are one and the same, he and I. 2 souls stitched together in the shadows of our pain. This reminds me of Alfalfa trying to profess his undying love for Darla in the boat in The Little Rascals.
Oh, Darla, we're 2 hearts with but 1 beat, 2 souls with but 1 shoe.
The world hated us, and in that rejection, we found each other. He may be stuck in the past, grasping onto memories of the relationship you 2 once had, but I plan to spend every second of every day reminding him just how fake it really was. Of what you did to him. I know what's best for him, and you, May Martha, are not that. 8. But in this little moment that she's having here, May starts to pick up on maybe some jealousy here. Like, what do you mean after all these years he's still thinking about me? Surely not. She says they're in love. She says that they're connected. But it would seem maybe not so much. And this emboldens little May Martha, who is an adult. I don't know why I called her that, but whatever.
Hello again from the void. How many times is she gonna do it in this video? We're not sure. TBD. I wanted to pop in here because I remember the graphic found on the author's Instagram saying age gap romance, and I'm assuming that all of these people are adults, so I don't really know what she's talking about. Like, I assumed that they were all in school together and around the same age, and then they split off, and now they're grown. So where exactly does the age gap come into play? We'll talk about it later.
You may think you know him, Max, but he and I share something you'll never have. Oh, really? And what's that? Max is now wielding the axe, so choose your next words carefully there, May Martha. And that's when May Martha pulls open her shirt, revealing a red heart tattoo. The same red heart tattoo that old Grouchy Butt has on his chest. Our hearts are one, always and forever. He can't give you what isn't his. Gagged. This sends Max into some sort of a rage, and just as she's about to dole out some punishments for all of this, she notices the outfit that May Martha is wearing, and she's like, you work down at that stinky old brothel, don't you? I can smell it all over you. Rude. At least she has a job. What are you up to? What are you up to, Max? She keeps on, though, like, shaming her for her profession and how she had such a bright future and she burned it all down. And how does that make you feel? We have a real Dr. Phil on our hands. And May's had enough, so she just slaps her. I would, too. Max is like, I can't wait to see what he has planned for you. And then she bites her bottom lip and draws blood and says, tell Gus hello for me. It's almost Christmas, May Martha. Santa's coming. Too bad you're a naughty girl. Why is all of this so sexually charged? Stop it. Are you threatening me? Are we about to make out? And as Max leaves, May remembers that there's a hand. So she takes her lighter and looks down, and there's a trail of blood. And at the end of that trail of blood, Cynthe. Both hands gone, neck agape, leaned up against the wall, and above her on the wall, painted in her blood, says, you're next, Martha May. May Martha! It's right there! Chapter 6 is the Grouch, and he's like, where have you been? And she comes back, she's like, I had to take care of something, and then throws hands at him. She's literally throwing hands. Kind of hard to report without your hands. It's like, oh, Cynthe, cool, glad, thanks for taking care of that for me. Does it feel good to finally have your revenge? And she's like, that's not all. I ran into May Martha, and he's immediately upset and nervous. He's like, what did you do? He's like, if you laid one hand on her, and she's like, you'll what? Hurt me? Do it. You gotta find me first. And she starts running off. I don't know how big this cave is. Oh, great. They tell me. The cave was filled with tunnels, twists, and endless turns. It was a damp and cold maze that would make anyone crazy if they tried to explore it. Max and I had memorized every inch over the years as I chased her through it, loving what usually happened next. He's traipsing through the cave, being like, where are you? What did you do? And finally, she's like, don't worry. I didn't kill her. She's fine. She did show me her heart, though, the one that y'all had tattooed on each other together in secret to remember all the good times and the memories you shared. And then he kind of thinks like, oh, I know where she is. And he finds her naked wading into one of the indoor lakes in the cave, which, listen to me, you don't want to be in there. You don't want to be in that water. Have you seen cave water under a microscope? What am I saying? I haven't. Let me look at it up. I can't find anything. I found a glacier water and shower water, tap water, sea water, and coconut water. If somebody's a scientist out there and you have access to a cave system near you that has water in it, can you just do this thing for me really quick? No big deal. And then come back here and let me know what you found. Anyway, she's in the lake or the pond or whatever, and she's washing the blood off her. She's like, dismembering someone and unaliving them is pretty dirty work. Why don't you come in here and help me scrub myself clean? And he's like, okay, if I want to know what she did to May Martha, I'm gonna need to play along. So he gets in, I guess, and is like, what did you do, Freckles? And he is turned on because she's looking like a snack in the water. They get a little with each other, and he's finally just like, just tell me what you did to her. Did you hurt her? Finally, she's like, ugh, no, I didn't hurt your precious May Martha. But you know who's here? Me. You know who's not here? Her. I gave her a little kiss, and she's fine. Now, would you please rail me but good in this underground lake? So they do just that. He says some more things about how wickedly delightful she is and how she's toxic, just like a drug. You're just like a pill. She's like, I know. I don't know. So they start doing it, and they're, doing it. And he's like, I need you. And they're arriving, and someone's on their knees. Juicy thighs are mentioned. He's like, she's batshit crazy, but she's mine. I get it. I get it. We've all been there. She's like, you love it. And he's like, God, I really freaking do. Just love each other and leave everybody else alone. This would be fun. Fine. Do it. Why are we killing people? Stop it. It's that gall darn May Martha. We just can't get her out of our noggin. My power just went out. I don't have any fun lights anymore. Whatever. Power can go out. You're not going to stop me from reading this book, okay? We're finishing. We're getting it done. Chapter 7, May Martha. She is looking in the mirror and running her fingers over the heart that they got in secret to document the secret relationship that they kept from everyone else. He'd known that her heart had never changed, but I guess he didn't after what happened. What happened? What? Listen, I know you have to draw things out, but you've been mentioning this since the first chapter, I think, and at a certain point, you're going to have to just reveal it. And, like, waiting until the very end of a book to make a big revelation. Oh, yay! Waiting until the end and drawing it out like this is just lazy storytelling, in my opinion. I'm having fun. This is a fun little silly goofy book, and it's not bad. And I like that there was preparation for the backdoor entrance and all of this other stuff. It's fun. It's fine. But like every chapter, you being like, after everything we went through, like, what did you go through? It would make sense that he's feeling this way after what happened. Like, either tell me or stop fucking saying it. She also tells us this lovely little tidbit where she might work in the brothel and bang all these men for money, but her heart will always belong to him. Okay, then why have you not reached out? Why have you not called? You don't text? Y'all don't poke on Facebook? Like, you haven't even tried to talk to him? It's been several years. He said that his mom, he referred to her as an old woman who death is knocking on her door. So I would guess, because I'm 36, and so that means high school, at the very last moment of high school for me, was 18 years ago. So let's just for funsies say that it's been 10 years, 10 to 15 years, something like that. You didn't think to apologize to him for whatever the fuck happened? You didn't think to explain yourself? You didn't think of writing a letter? He obviously knows how to write you letters. He sends a message. You didn't try to do any of that? Come on, May Martha. She's looking at herself in the mirror still and just going over everything and how Max really is unhinged. Cindy was right. When Gus comes a knocking on the door. Here for your usual, she says. Ooh. He's annoyed, though, because he can see her tattoo. And he's like, I thought I told you I didn't want to see that. Cover that shit up now. And she's like, what can I do for you? And he says, quote, you can marry me. How romantic. In the brothel? What is this, Moulin Rouge? Anyway, he's like, listen, May, I can't protect you from him while you're working here. But if you're my wife, you won't have to work here, and I can keep you safe. Which doesn't make any sense. Although with the history of how police go about viewing workers, especially when homicide is on the menu, it would make sense that he thinks this way, because a lot of times when workers go missing and wind up unalive, the cops don't really investigate it because they are seen as lesser than. They're actually known as the lesser dead. And surely none of these people have families or people who care about them and are actually missing them and wondering what happened to them. So they just don't even prioritize their safety, let alone the worker community's safety. Are we serious capping in a Grinch parody? Anyway, it's just, this makes sense that we have a cop coming to see May in the brothel and spending a lot of time, enough to have a usual that he gets when he comes to see her. So he values her in that way, as an object that feeds his pleasure, but he doesn't view her as worthy of protecting unless she's willing to hang up her G-string and marry him. Gross. Typical. Not surprising, but I guess Gus is the enemy. He's the bad guy. They're all bad. It's an erotic horror. So that does change a little bit about how all of this is framed. Like, he's not seen as like a knight in shining armor that rescued her from this horrible, grouchy man. He's a bad person too. So it makes sense that he's consistently a bad person in this narrative. It's just weird. Think about it. You can leave all this behind and come home with me. I've loved you since we were kids, and in spite of your struggles and current occupation, I'm willing to make this work to give you a better life with me. Only me. Only you. No, thank you. Thank you, no. And she's like, Gus, I really appreciate the offer. And he interrupts her. But what? You'd rather stay here? Anyone willing to pay? We get it. I would like the Grouch to come down and kill him now, thanks. Then he gets violent with her and grabs her wrist and gets all, why I oughta. Now you listen here, May. I've waited years for you. Years. His name is Gustafer, after all. The accent is necessary. I've given you time to get over your ridiculous childhood trauma. It's time to face the truth. He's gone, you hear me? Gone. And you're mine. You always have been. You just haven't realized it yet. Gus, you're hurting me. Good. I've been patient long enough, May. You will be my wife. Even if that means I have to buy you like the whore you are. Wow, what a proposal. I'm in tears. That is just so moving. Get wrecked. And he angrily leaves, slamming the door behind him. Good riddance. Lock him out. Don't let him back in. Where is the madam that oversees the brothel? Is there not one? She's on the floor in tears, and she reaches for the box under her bed and pulls it out and looks at the contents. I swear to God. What's in the box? She says, please forgive me or kill me. Either way, just make it end. All of it. She is not having a good time, which is so sad because it's the holidays.
We wish you the merriest, the merriest.
Chapter 8 is the Grouch. He's wandering through the forest with the axe perched on his shoulder looking for a tree to cut down because they need more firewood because it's starting to get really cold, which is another thing that I wanted to point out here. I haven't mentioned it before, but I have noticed it. He's covered in fur. Fine. Great. But I feel like Max is just a girl. Like a regular human girl. So she's not covered in a layer of fur. And she has been described as wearing like a dress that her baubles almost pop out of and being completely nude, standing around. They are living in a snow-covered mountain cave. And caves are freaking cold. I don't know if you knew. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And now he's out here looking for firewood because they need more. But I bet you do. Y'all should dress for the weather. I mean, you could probably even figure out a way to just cut holes in certain parts of the clothes just for easy access, maybe. And that way you're warm when you need to be and open for business when you need to be that. I don't know. So he's out looking for a tree to chop down, and then he hears voices. Oh no, 2 more people lost in his woods. Whatever will we do? And he starts to like approach them. Not only are there 2 people lost in the woods, but they are also banging in the woods. Is this Reed and Pip from The Wild by Kay Webster? What a crossover that would be. Anyway, he's watching them bang it out and he is growing firm at the sight of it. So he starts to jack it and like, it's sure. And then Max shows up. She's like, I'll take care of this. You just watch them. So he watches and Max is like giving him a wraparound. That's not what it's called. A reach around? Is that what it's called? I'm an old woman. While doing this favor for him, she once again tells him that he's a good boy. He arrives, brava, and then he's like, what are you doing out here, Max? Literally shoot first and ask questions later, huh, big guy? She's like, I came to help you chop firewood, but it seems like you had something else that you were doing. And he's like, forget the firewood, Max. How about we chop up something else? So they attack, and Max takes an axe right to the woman's throat, and she bleeds out all over the man, who is still firmly situated inside her, and they note it in a very poetic way. He's like, what the heck? I can't even imagine. The woman tried to cup her neck to stop the bleeding, but it was worthless. Max dropped the axe, positioning herself behind the woman. She met the man's eyes, hers rising as I stepped behind him. He stared up at me, covered in the woman's blood, sobbing. Please, he begged. So they like parentheses around this woman. He's like, care to share your snack with me? She's the snack, the bleeding woman with a neck wound. And Max doesn't like the idea, but not because of all the stuff I just listed. She just doesn't like sharing old grouchy butt. She hates the idea of sharing him so much that she just yanks the woman's head off completely. He's like, I'll take that as a no. Yeah, I'd say that's a safe bet. Amidst all of this, Max starts telling him that she loves him, and he doesn't say it back. And she's like, I love you. And he's like, I can't love you like that. I can't do that. And she's like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You love me. She just like smushes his face into her boobs. Like, tell me you love me. I mean, honestly, they're also banging boobs, face. Love you. Say it back. She's not like us. And as they near the finish line, he does say, Max, please. Yes, I do. I do. Which is not I love you. But Max is happy. As much as I don't want to admit it, I do. I love you, Freckles. You're crazy and beautiful and a mess just like me. You annoy the shit out of me and piss me off more than anyone else. But God, I love you, all of you. Just don't leave me ever. He thinks that to himself. And she's like, I knew you loved me. He didn't actually say that, though. I'm gonna hold your hand when I say it. Actually, you're covered in blood. Let's look. At some point, they killed the guy, too. I guess I blocked it out. But they're done, and they walk over to the pile of the dead couple's clothing, and she's giddy because there's a green scarf there and it's her favorite color. That is really convenient since he's green. But that's not all they found. They found a piece of paper sticking out of the man's pocket that reads, "Come join all of Whoreville this Christmas Eve as we celebrate the engaged..." And Max's smile dips. "Celebrate what?" And she's like, "Nothing at all. Nothing to celebrate here. Ho, ho, ho." And he's like, "Max, let me see it." And she's like, "Fine, but it's gonna upset you and ruin our moment." But he uncrinkles it and reads it aloud. So here I go. "Come join all of Whoreville this Christmas Eve as we celebrate the engagement of..." My voice stopped burning as I stared at the printed words. "The engagement of Police Chief Gustafer Mayhew and May Martha." Hold on. May Martha Mayhew? "Wear your finest Christmas get-ups and prepare for a Christmas Eve like never before." Isn't it a little irresponsible to advertise the engagement of two people who are literally on a mass murderer's hit list that have received written threats from said maniac, who you also bullied in school and apparently stole his girl from, even though she doesn't actually like you? It feels very boastful. It feels almost intentional, like you're trying to rile this man up by putting this in the paper. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? So much for keeping her safe. This is a terrible idea. So all of this has him big mad, enraged. So he crumples up the piece of paper. He grabs his axe and walks over to the dead bodies in the snow and just starts hacking away, whacking at them. And with every swing of the axe, he's thinking, of course she would end up with him. She never loved me. It was all a lie. Covered in red juice and breathing heavy, he thinks to himself, "I'm finally gonna free myself of Gus and May Martha once and for all." Okay, do it. So rock it. "Max, what do you say we go down to Whoreville and celebrate Christmas Eve with everyone? Something that you've always wanted to do." Yeah, right after you somewhat kind of admit to maybe having feelings for me, and then subsequently right after learn about the engagement of your arch nemesis and the girl that got away that you can't stop thinking about. Yeah, I'd love to go to this party celebrating them. I think that will go really great. And she's like, "You just want to go so you can see May?" Like, she's not dumb. Max is not dumb. She's unwell and very violent, vicious, unaliver, but she's not stupid. No. "You're right. I do want to see May Martha, but not for the reasons you think. It's time for me to get rid of her once and for all." "Oh, come on, Freckles. Are you seriously going to make me beg?" Yeah. He's like, "Please, pretty please. You can kill whoever you want and you can bring back whatever you want." She's like, "Deal. And you have to wear a Santa costume." Snack break for me. It's important to nourish your body while enriching your soul with such great books. I actually, all things considered, I am actually not having a terrible time. And you know what? I think it has something to do with the fact that it's labeled erotic horror and not dark romance. Because as I've said before, and I'll say it again, romance implies things that erotic horror doesn't. I.e., romance implies a relationship of sorts between two or more characters. And it also implies that a happily ever after of sorts can be found, right? Yeah, that's what I think when I hear dark romance, like it's a love story, but a little darker. Right, got it. But when I hear erotic horror, I hear spicy, scary, meant to scare, but be spicy also. That's what I get. And so if I were reading this through the lens of dark romance, I would be upset about all of it, really, because there is not a shred of romance in here. Just abuse and crimes and all the things we're used to seeing in a dark romance, and that's why I don't like it. It's also why I think it's a better thing to say if your book is an erotic horror versus a dark romance. Because things like Carving for Kara, there was no happily ever after. She was stalked and assaulted, and he unalived people and mutilated them and snuck into her house and put cameras in, and then the book ended. There was no happily ever after. There was no relationship. Nothing. He just assaulted her several times. If you would have said that was an erotic horror, I would have rated it a little higher, because it definitely was. This also fits the bill so far of an erotic horror novel. Now, if they end up living happily ever after, I'm going to be a little disappointed, because I don't want that, but I digress. I'm just along for the ride, so I'm gonna take a snack break and then we'll get back to it. Chapter 9 is the Grouch again. So they're headed to Whoreville for the celebration. Turns out Max is a crafty little bitch and she just whipped up costumes for them. She's dressed as Santa's little helper and he's Santa, of course. So they slink down the mountain and they hide in like the outskirts and they hear the town roaring and the music and the smells of the sweets being baked and stuff. Max notices a pastry cart and steals one and just gobbles down like an apple pie fritter thing. And Grouch is like, focus, Freckles. You can take home all the apple pies you want to after we do what we came for. Just then, Gus takes center stage, grabs the microphone, and welcomes everyone to this celebration of love. And then he like waves somebody on stage, come on out here. And of course, it's May Martha, and this causes Grouch to have like a seizure about it. May was wearing a festive gown, the forest green tulle skirt nearly swallowing her whole. The waist of the dress was pulled in tight by a vibrant red velvet corset. A pure white fur wrapped around her gloved hands, a deep green shawl around her shoulders concealing her tattoo. Her brunette hair was free and curled around her face, encrusted with red sparkling accessories. And those fucking red lips. She looked almost the same as the day I last saw her, her body filled out and divine. Ha! So this is the first time he's seen her since childhood. My jaw nearly drops as I watch her clap for Gus, quickly shaking my old feelings away. Isn't she perfect, everyone? As you may know, we're not just here to celebrate Christmas. Oh no, we're here to celebrate my brand new, maybe, engagement to Miss May Martha. And then he asks her to marry him and she's unable to form the words no or yes. And so he just kind of physically blocks her from the crowd and then smiles back at them. So someone shouts, she said yes! And everybody... Even Max is clapping, and Grouch is like, she starts to cry, May Martha, naturally, because she doesn't want to do this. And then her eyes lock on Grouch's, and he just storms off. And Max is like, hey, what about the plan? He's like, screw the plan. It's over. He won. I hope they get married, and they have the most miserable life. They deserve it after what they did to me. The world deserves to burn for how you were treated, but since we can't burn it all down, let's at least finish what we started and give them exactly what they deserve and show them hell. Show them the Grouch. Chapter 10 is Max. She gets her own chapter now. Why did we only just start doing that? None of my business. So they're following them, and it seems like May and Gus are headed towards the bar to celebrate, and she wants to get May on her own so she can kill her. We'll see. She's like, you go on ahead. I'm going to hang back and cause some craziness on my own. He's like, give him hell. And she's like, got it. You know, whatever. Devil may care. Apparently, before May and Gus went to the bar, they took a detour back to the brothel, and that is where Max is headed now, too. When she gets there, she listens in, and she hears arguing. She's like, oh, somebody's in trouble. And what we hear is Gus threatening to brand May because I paid for you fair and square and this is what you agreed to. And she's like, I didn't agree to it. And he's like, I'm gonna brand you and cover up that horrible tattoo so that everybody knows who you belong to, blah, 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 blah. He's like, I'm gonna go get a drink, and when I get back here, I expect you to behave like the obedient wife you are gonna be. I don't know. So he leaves, and then Max slips in, and May's devastated, and then she sees Max, and it gets even worse, and Max is like, in the flesh, now let's you and I have some fun. May's a little annoyed at this point, which I think I would be too. I'd be fed up. She just keeps being told what to do, and no one ever asks her anything. So she's like, what do you want, Max? And Max is like, I'm here to unalive you. I mean, sure, he wants to unalive you, but I think it'd be more fun if I did it. May's like, kill me. What did I even do to you? And she's like, you did everything to me. And she just starts spilling. You consume his every thought. You even corrupt his dreams. And you are all he thinks about. And there's no room for me. So while you're still here, I can't have him the way I need him. And I need him. And then she like cuts her, asks her if she has any last words. But all of this is just telling May, in my mind, that she might have a shot if she tried. But instead, May just swallows and says, go ahead, do it. But know that killing me won't fix him. Oh, Max, you can him every minute of every day, but you'll never have his heart. Ma'am! She's a knife to your freaking gullet. Are you all right? You are just begging for her to unalive you. Just then, an unlikeliest of unlikely heroes comes back and is like, I forgot something. Why is this door locked? May, let me in. Thank goodness for the abusive piece of shit cop husband. Come to the rescue. So Max skedaddles out of the window, and she's like, bye for now. Christmas isn't over. Chapter 11 is the Grouch, and he is right grouchy in this one because he went to the bar under the assumption that May was going to be there because that's what Max told him, that May and Gus were on their way to the bar. So he sat in the shadows waiting for her like a chump and nobody showed up. So when he sees Max slinking around, he slams her into a wall in a chokehold and is like, where were you? Why did you lie to me? And she's like, I went to see May. I wanted to take her out. And this makes him way mad, which I think we all figured. Yeah, but he just lets her go and is like, go home, Max. He's like so done with her at this point. Wait. Don't go, please. She doesn't love you. Please come back with me. I love you. And he grabs the axe and walks towards the brothel and says, until I have her heart in my hands, I can't love you. Time skip, he finds the brothel. He scales the side of the wall, which I don't understand the point because I feel like you could just walk in. I understand he's a green fur-covered abomination grouch man, but we're Spider-Man in the building. So he scales the building and he reaches her window and he knows it's her window because she's not alone. Gus is in there causing a ruckus. A ruckus. No. So he just lingers outside the window, I guess, holding on to the fucking building and the bricks and listens in on their conversation. Gus is like, why would the grouches try to unalive you? And she's like, you know why? We did what we did to him. Literally, I'm gonna fucking fight somebody. We did what we did to him and he's coming after us because of all of the things we did. Hold on, Beans needs something. So Gus, hearing this, takes no accountability for his role in whatever they did. So Gus just starts violently shaking May. Like, nah, this is all your fault, trick asshole. I didn't do nothing. You're the one who let him on. You're the reason that she died. Someone died and it was a she? Surely not one of his moms. And then he got blamed for her murder? Oh my God. That night changed everything. Do you think he would have been welcomed in this town if it didn't happen? Ha! The unfortunate tragedy merely set things straight. I didn't know you two were sneaking around, that you would let him go. But here we are because of your mistake. Maybe I should let you. That is, if I don't do it myself first. What a great celebration of their betrothal. I don't know. So, at some point, I guess, old May Martha grabbed the little knife or a knife and she just guts him. She just stabs him. So down goes Gus. Don't you fucking dare blame her death on me. You unalived her. And then she strangles him with a scarf or something. I've spent years fearing you, letting you use me however you wanted because I was haunted by the past, but I am done. May spit in his face, falling back onto her backside as she hung her arms over her knees and exhaled. If he wants to kill May, I'll let him. My only regret is that I didn't tell him the truth. And Grouch, outside the window, still latched on, hearing this, is like, truth? What truth? Truth. It's this moment that the Grouch decides to come in from the cold, literally. So he crawls through the window, axe still in hand, and that's when May says his name, his real name. Even Max doesn't know it. Do you want to guess what it is? I bet you don't. I'll give you a minute. Crispin. I'll just say it again. Crispin. And there they stood, staring at one another after all these years. Gus bleeding out on the floor. As he stares at her, he has to struggle to fight back those feelings that are coming back up because he needs to remember why he's here. So he kneels next to Gus and says, hello, old friend. Am I the monster that you always claimed me to be, finally? And then takes a dig. Man, you really let yourself go. Good thing I got here when I did, because otherwise May would have gotten to take credit for your unaliving. And she's like, Crispin, don't. Crispin. Anyway, he doesn't listen to her calling his name, which is such a lovely name, and he just whacks his head off. Well, that was a bit anticlimactic. All these years of dreaming how this would happen and a hack to the head is all it took. Pity. I'm so sorry. I don't know anyone who would survive an axe to the neck. If you wanted it to last longer and be more enjoyable, you could have tied him up. You could have burned him with stuff. You could have sliced off pizza. I mean, the limit does not exist. Why would you think that a whack to the neck with an axe would be anything less than fast and effective? Are we okay? The answer is no, we're not okay. You cannot have the lights And May is shooketh. She's like, you killed Gustafer. Wow, Crispin versus Gustafer. Who will win? It was Crispin, of all people. You're being a troublemaker. You're gonna get coal in your stocking. So the big face-off is finally happening. Gustafer is out. And now that just leaves May, Martha, and Crispin. So she's like, you killed Gustafer. And he's like, yeah, I know you loved him and all, but I did what I came here to do. And she's like, I didn't love him. I've been abused by that man since the day I left. You left. The day you left. And he's like, oh no, don't you try that. He used me and abused me. And so did you. You used me. And for what you did and what I lost, I will have my revenge. Still don't really know. Somebody died. That's all we know. It's almost, what are we? We're 86% of the way in. Will we ever know? Mm-hmm. She's like, just wait. And he's like, no, I waited. I waited for years. I let you live your freaking life after you stole mine from me. And she's like, I didn't. And he's like, yes, you did. This is all very... You played me. You pretended to love me, to want me. We spent years sneaking around, making plans to run away from all this together. But when I needed you most, the truth came out. You never loved me. And when everything happened, you let her die. Who? I didn't know. Gus never told me what he was going to do. I knew he had something planned, but I didn't think it was that. Crispin, please. I didn't know your mother was inside. Oh my God, I totally called it. It was his mother. They unalived his mother. How horrible. Well, Gustafer did. So apparently he was off with May, and May knew that Gus was planning something. She didn't know he was planning this, but she knew he was planning something. And Grouch and May, Martha were off doing something. And when he got back, his house was on fire and his mom was inside, and he could have saved her if not for the band of idiots led by Gustafer waiting for him outside that roughed him up and kept him from going inside and saving his mother. And that is where the prologue took place. So he's outside getting wailed on by these guys, and he's hearing his mother die in the house, calling for him. And to make Gus stop, that is when May says, he means nothing to me. Wow. You told him I was nothing. Nothing. Now that's all you will be. Nothing. Crispin, please. If you want to kill me, fine, but I swear to you, I didn't know. I tried to stop him after you ran away. I tried to find your mother, but it was too late. And apparently she went into the house after the mom and couldn't find her, and the fire department had to drag her out. And then after the fire was put out, she went back in to rummage through the rubble, and she was like, your other mom was so distraught, so I just took her remains, what remained of her. And that, my friends, is what's in the box that she keeps under her bed. I hesitated taking the box and lifting the lid. Inside was a small silver antique urn covered in etched filigree. Is that the word? Oh, filigree. Ornamental work. Okay, so wow, we were fancy today. My gift on this Christmas is a new word. On the front of it was a small plaque with my mother's name inscribed across it. You did this? I knew you'd want to keep her safe, not buried in the ground. You always hated the idea of your mother one day becoming worm food. This is inappropriate. I was going to give it to you, but you never returned. So I kept her here with me all these years, hoping one day you'd come back for her. The tea has been spilled. And he's like, May, I didn't know. No, but did you ask? You didn't ask either. And I understand, like, in the heat of the moment. Oh my God.
Heat of the moment. Telling me what your heart meant.
That was insensitive of me. She died in a house fire. In the heat of the moment, fine. Don't ask all the questions. Don't check all the boxes. Don't try to make sense of everything that went down in those hectic 15 minutes or so. But it's been years. You didn't think that maybe you guys should come together, have a conversation about what went down that day? Whatever, it's none of my business.
Hi, yes it is. Hello from the void again. Maybe the last time, but who knows? I don't like this. This is one of my pet peeves when it comes to reading, where the entire plot would fall to pieces or be solved entirely with just a conversation. While I didn't hate this book, and we'll talk about it more at the end, this definitely took away from it. Why didn't you ring him up?
I know we hurt you, Crispin. I can never make up for what happened, but you must know I've always loved you. I never meant for any of this to happen. I meant every word that day. You have my heart always and forever. So now Crispin is in tears, and they hug, and he cries all over her neck, which of all the things he's been doing next in this book, it's the least catastrophic. And she says that she's sorry again and that she wished that she could have saved her and all this other stuff. Chapter 12, May Martha. So they're back and they've like pulled away from the embrace. And he's like, after all these years, I thought I would see you and just really want to take you out. But my heart skipped a beat upon seeing you just like it always used to. And she's like, I've never stopped loving you, Crispin. I know that Crispin is a name, okay? Crispin Glover, an actor, and I know him from Charlie's Angels Full Throttle only. That's the only reason I know who he is. She's like, I never stopped loving you. And he's like, I don't think I've ever stopped loving you either, May Martha. And she's like, what about Max? I can never love her the way I love you. Crispin kissed me then, years worth of agonizing torture and longing bubbling to the surface. My heart nearly erupted as I wrapped my arms around his neck, and he gently laid me on my back. Oh no. It's always been you, May. He rasped, ripping a gasp from my throat as he tore at my dress and lingerie. My body yearned for him. This is a very quick turn. So I guess they're gonna do it. So they do it and they're like, oh my God, this must be a dream. I can't believe it. I love you. I love you. Blah, 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 blah. I fear what Max will do when she stumbles onto this scene. They arrive. It's great. It's wonderful. It's huge. Oh my God. And one more little treat for you this fine day. May, I could watch you take mine all day. You take it so well. That's right. Soak me, baby. Soak my fur with your juices. And don't stop until your heart gives out. You can me for the rest of my life, Crispin. I don't care how much it hurts. You can until it breaks my body. I'm yours. Girl, calm down, okay? He's in there, right? And she's, again, what about Max? This is not the time. It's an inappropriate conversation to be having mid-coital. Yeah. I can't just leave her. Do you love her? It's not that simple. Do you love her? Not the way I love you. It wasn't the answer I was hoping for, but it was enough. Then tell her the truth. I want you, Crispin. We've been separated too long. Let's not waste any more time. Be with me. At least give me tonight. Max has been with me since I left. I at least owe her tonight. Hi, editing me here. I thought I recorded this next chunk, but apparently I did not. So we're going to have to go through it really quickly. My kids are home, so I don't want to be yelling loudly about the Grinch's furry 3 times its size growing member, but I'm going to do my best. He's saying, just give me one last night with Max, because I owe her that, right? And May is like, why tonight? Why one night and why tonight? And he's like, because it's her favorite holiday. It's Christmas Eve. And I'll tell her about us tomorrow and I'll break it to her. I'm so sorry. It's her favorite holiday. You're going to spend one last night with her on Christmas Eve. And then tomorrow, on our Lord and Savior, Jesus Hellraiser Christ's birthday, you're going to break up with her being Max, a violent unaliver who is obsessed with you and very possessive. Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. And before he goes to have one last night with Max, May Martha asks him for one simple favor. Take the long way home. If you have to spend tonight with her, at least take your time before you do so. Hell, use it to think of all the things we can do together now that you're back. He's like, you got it, dude. What is this? Real weird request. And wouldn't you know it, we have a mid-chapter POV switch to Max, who was listening outside the window. How she scaled the side of a building, Edward Cullen style, and just hung out there while they were mixing it up inside, I'll never know. But she was hanging out there, and she heard him profess his love, say, I love you, I love you, I love you to May Martha, after he literally couldn't say it to her. So once he leaves, she goes in through the window, and May Martha has done this multiple times during this book where she's like, oh, hey, the person who just left, did you forget something? We need to be a little bit more sharp on our toes, May Martha. We're not going to be able to hang unless we get smarter real quick. So Max is inside and she is mad. She's like, after all this time and all I've done for him and how I've been with him forever, he still chooses you. Imagine that. And I'm taking off my earrings mainly because they're hurting, but also just because it's about that time. And May Martha is like, hey, no, don't do this. Just go have one last night with him, okay? It's not a big deal. For Crispin's sake, please stop this. Crispin, I can't get over it. So she's real close to May Martha, and she looks over at headless Gustafer and sees a knife sticking out of him. So she grabs that and she's like, only I know what Crispin really wants. And that's the end of the chapter. Chapter 13 is the Grouch again, and he is entering the cave, and Christmas music is meeting him. It's flowing through the caverns, but the front door of the cave, I guess caves have doors now, has blood on it. What did you do now, Max? Uh-oh. And so he goes inside and tries to follow the sound of the music. He steps into a main room, I guess, and there's a fire going, and his favorite chair is facing it, and a small radio plays on the side table. He's like, I don't want to tell her, but it's now or never. And he starts, Max, there's something I need to tell you. And then standing behind the chair, he sees a hand fall over the side, and it's covered in blood. It's Max's hand, but it's covered in blood. Why is she covered in blood? So he comes around the side of the chair, and he notices that she's uninjured. So whose blood is it? And she's like, hi, honey, I missed you. He's like, I missed you too, Freckles. What's all this about? And she's like, oh, this? It's nothing. Speaking of nothing, I have a gift for you. And then she like bounces over to the Christmas tree, and he's like, listen, me and May. And she's like, bup, bup, bup. Hold on, not so fast, partner. I got you a gift. Open it. Open it before you say anything else. I scoff, lightly laughing as I indulge her, pulling at the ribbon and unwrapping the box. I lifted the lid, my smile dropping as I stared at what she just handed me, praying it wasn't what I thought. What is it? You told me the only way you could love me was if you had her heart in your hands. He's freaking out, as am I. Oh, did we Snow White it? Oh no. He's like, whose heart is that, Max? And she's like, why, Martha May's, of course. Sorry. Why, Martha? Oh my God. Why, May Martha's, of course. Now you can love me forever. My heart felt completely ripped apart, aching and shredding as I watched her just stand there holding May's heart as if it was nothing. She murdered her, carved out her heart and gifted it to me. She was crazy. May was gone. How could you? I did it for us. There is no us. Ma'am, you couldn't have thought that would go well. I understand crime of passion and whatnot, but there's no way that this was going to go well for you. But Max is like, no, it's going to be fine. I saw her use her body to try to sway you away from me. I saw. And he's like, you saw? Like, he's thinking like, she was watching. So she like climbs all over him and like hugs him. She's like, I'm going to make everything better. It's going to be fine. Max stroked my hair, holding me close as my horror began to melt into hatred. My eyes glanced around, searching for something, anything I could use to kill her with. She was a rabid dog that needed to be put down before she hurt someone else. You were hurting people too, Pally. Crispin, I'm gonna need you to be so serious, okay? If May being dead wasn't heartbreaking enough, I now had to kill the only friend I ever had. The idea made me hesitate, knowing she only did it to protect me, because she loved me. No, Max can't love anyone. She's nuts. I'm gonna make you forget all about her. You'll see. It's only you and... She gasped, the large glass shard piercing her shoulder as she dropped May's heart and stared into my eyes. You may have taken her heart, but you'll never have mine. Sick burn. Words to a dying person, am I right? So Max falls down. She's bleeding. She's crying. She asks why. I feel like that is a question that has many answers, and all of which we know. He doesn't address Max as she's dying, though. He just turns and picks up the heart, May's heart, and apologizes to it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My eyes bulged as a sudden pain shot through my heart, piercing it perfectly. The music from the radio began to slow as the room spun, my eyes rolling into the back of my head as her voice hits my ears, fading away with the world. I'm sorry too. Epilogue? Max! I'm gonna read the entire epilogue to you, okay? Why don't you grab a beverage, and then we'll get into the epilogue, okay? You'll want to stay here for this one, I guarantee it. I hummed along with the Christmas music that played from the small radio, lights filling the cave as the fire cracked before me. I pulled the needle and thread through the thick material, finishing the final touches as I squealed, wincing at the pain in my shoulder. Silly Max, I said to myself. Gotta be more careful. My fingers ached from sewing all night long, though I was relieved to finally be done with my own Christmas gift. I switched stations, finding more Christmas music, gently rocking my head back and forth as I stroked the furry collar of my brand new coat, proud of what I'd made. Green is such a pretty color, I chirped, wrapping it around my body and inhaling the scent of it. Merry Christmas, May Martha. I looked down next to the radio, smiling at her heart as I stroked my coat, admiring it closely. And Merry Christmas to you too, you mean old grouch. My fingers played with the green fur, still as soft as it was when it was on his chest. I burrowed myself into his skin, sinking into the chair as I inhaled his scent again. He's so warm, so inviting, absolutely perfect. I grabbed the sleeve made from his arm and wrapped it around my chest, leaning into it. Now we can be together forever. Merry Christmas! The end. So how are we feeling, huh? How's everybody doing? So that was Mean One by A.B. Cynthe, or Absinthe. So clever. I personally am feeling spectacular. Did I like this? Oh my God, did I? Let's talk about it. Out of the gate, right away, first of all, we had nothing to go on. We just had the sentence, "'Tis the season for revenge." That one sentence led much to be desired and much to be curious about and just have your imagination run wild. It's a Grinch retelling and it's about revenge. Right, I got it. It's an erotic horror. We don't know how many pages it is. We didn't know anything about it except those things. So going in moderately ignorant to everything that was in store for us, except for like knowing a few things about the Grinch and the lore, I was very pleasantly surprised by this, actually. I know a lot of that has to do with the fact it was labeled an erotic horror and there were different stakes at play within the narrative. And so I think that this serves as a great example of how having that in your mind before diving in can greatly change your perspective on a book, because I see this as a horror novel that has erotic scenes in it, not a dark, twisted love story. No, it is very dark, but it's more horror than anything because there is no happily ever after unless you're Max, I guess. But I didn't hate this. I actually downloaded another one of the author's books, Bloodlust, I think it's called. It's about a shark something. I don't know. I didn't get very far. Her writing is not terrible, and I would probably, dare I say, read more from this author. There's some questions that I have, of course, like what is Max if she was able to scale a brick building and just linger on the outside of the window until she was ready to go in, and she can live up in the snowy mountain cave and not get frostbite on her bits because she's never wearing clothes. I mean, she has a coat now, so I guess all is well. I didn't think too much about it. I thought it was pretty fun. I liked that there was different smut scenes than what I'm used to seeing. You don't see a lot of pegging, or at least, let me not say that. I haven't read a lot of pegging scenes. I haven't read a lot of mommy things too, which I'm gonna go ahead and full stop you right there. Don't you dare. Don't you ever do that to me again. As a mother, I'm appalled. I'm clutching nothing. But I think that this was a delightful little holiday horror novel with some spicy bits, and it was graphic and it was gory and there was a lot going on and there was unaliving and there was spice and there was just a whole bunch of nonsense. I am clearly delirious. I think I give this 3.5. I think that that's a good one. I think that's a good solid 3.5. If it was a dark romance, it would get a 1 because everyone is a crazy criminal who is just abusing and unaliving people. But since it's an erotic horror, it changes the scope of things, does it not? Yes, it does. Please do this. I can't take another dark romance that's just victimizing women the whole time and then, oh my God, he's so hot at the end after they are worn down over time. That is not a love story, aka a romance. Stop it. Anyway, I hope you had fun with me today. I had a lot of fun with this. This is probably the quickest turnaround I've had from the publishing date to the reading, to the recording, to the editing, to the releasing. And I hope that you appreciate the hustle that went into this. All of the people in my book club are also going to be reading this with me. Well, anybody who wants to. We're reading Camp Damascus right now for December. That's our main pick. And then I threw in Mean One as an alternate choice for anybody who wants to, because I read a lot of horrible things on this channel and very rarely do I make my book club read them with me. Maybe not ever, I don't think. But this one I was like, you know what? As a gift to me for the holidays, y'all are going to read this too. And honestly, I don't think it's so bad. It's not, in comparison, are you kidding me? It's nowhere near as bad as some of the things that I've done, okay? This was a gift that keeps on giving, because look at us having fun. Look at us. We're having so much fun. Okay, so I love you. You don't have to say it back. I do want to tell you the great news that is another little gift for the holiday season. You and me, all of us working together got Haneen's fundraiser to its goal. That means that her family gets to start the evacuation process. They have requested the funds and they are going to be able to get to safety. And I'm not going to cry because I put makeup on today, but it means a lot to me that you guys helped. No. It means a lot to me that you helped me do this for her and for them. It means a lot to me that this is the kind of community that we've somehow built amongst all of this shit that we go through here on this channel. A giving, kind, caring, active community of people here. Warms my little Grinch heart. It's growing 3 sizes as we speak. Thank you for doing that. Updates will be provided as I get them. And you can also still follow the Spot Fund account to see updates that Haneen shares in real time as they're available. Keep stopping by the Spot Fund to check out the progress and see how they're doing. And if there's any updates and if I know anything, I'll share it with you when I know. I appreciate you doing this for them because I asked you to. That means a lot to me. And it means a lot to me to be able to use this community that I've built over this past year. What a year it's been to do something so good. And I'm going to be looking into other fundraisers that we can maybe support and get some other families to safety. So yes. Also, on the back of that news, that triumph comes along with another triumph for you and just a big ol' L for me. I have to read Where's Molly now, and I am sweating about it. I promised it. And I'm good on my word. So I am going to start reading it the 1st of January. I'm going to give myself a little break and then I'm going to pick up and I'm going to start reading it. I'm also reading Credence right now. It's just not going well for me. This was a nice break from all of that. And I appreciate you being here and going through this journey with me. Leave the anatomically correct heart emoji in the comments if you made it this far. I'm going to give you a little beans footage, some beautiful beans footage to wrap up the day. I hope you're having a safe, happy holiday. I hope you have some peace. I know family can be a little rocky. Some people have great families, and for those people, I am only envious and happy for. But for those of us who don't really have that, and it's just a lot of turmoil and unrest, I hope that this video gave you a little bit of joy and all of that. And I hope that you are able to salvage some sort of goodness in this dark, dreary, cold winter that is upon us and the holiday season. I will see you in the next review. I love you. You don't have to say it back. Actually, I think you helping me get my friends to that donation fundraising goal says it more than any words ever could. I love you. Have a great holiday. Be safe. Take care of each other and yourself. And I will see you in the next review. Are you stealing my bookmark? Beans! That's my favorite one! You can't have it. You're stuck. You don't know how to get down. Oh no. Well, he figured it out. For anyone wondering, the bookmark that he was trying to swipe is this metal bookmark. It says, oh, yes, sex is cool, but have you ever finished a book? And I love it. My friend Made Gold makes these, and I have another one around here somewhere, but I don't know where it went. Beans probably took it. I will tag her shop below. She makes incredible things. I have so many pieces from her. You're a bad boy, Beans. Beanie baby. Beanie baby. I love you so much, but you drive me crazy. See, he likes that song. That one always makes him come over. You're being a bad boy, Beans, trying to steal my stuff. I love you. Beanie baby. Beanie baby. I love you so much that you drive me crazy. He's trying to get up here. I finally found a song he likes.